Hello, and welcome to It's Always Trippy in Hollywood. I am your host, Patty, and I would really like a new drug. One, preferably, that won't make me sick, crash my car, or make me feel 3 feet thick.
My name is Lugia, and I'm ready to go on another drug trip. Why not? This ain't a first. We've done this kind of shit before. This is nothing new, baby.
Are you saying that I have brain damage? I don't know. That scene just cracked me fucking up. When I was like, "Oh, your brain's like it's just two synapses. He's got this fucking nothing." It's like, whoa.
Today's movie is about drugs, the dangers of drugs, and how we lost the war on drugs, and all that type of stuff. All about the dangers of drugs. And speaking of the dangers of drugs, let's talk about the live-action Minecraft movie starring Jack Black and Jason Momoa.
I want to
Because we
know
got
what
our
they
first
were
look at
on.
it.
I mean, it's like a no duh thing, but you guys know what Minecraft is, yeah?
What the heck is a
No, what
Minecraft?
is?
Okay. Have you had any personal experience with Minecraft?
Okay, in all
Yeah,
seriousness, I've only played Minecraft a few times back in middle school. It's not that I don't like it, it's just I never had the right software for it. And by the time I got my own computer, I was into other things.
yeah. I played it a couple times. I was never like super into it. I played it like casually on occasion. Same with Roblox, just once in a while.
Yeah, I'm on the
I've never
same
been
boat.
into. I've
Um,
never been into like these like big like sandbox multiplayer like those types of games. I know it's not multiplayer inherently, but like I'm not a fan of like I prefer like my narrative
Minecraft is a game I
linear
probably
stuff.
would love if I dedicated myself to it, but I
well,
never
if you
did.
had time, because I also played the game in middle school, but then stopped like once I graduated into high school and my life just got busier. But they added a lot more to the game with the passing years to the point where it's like almost not even the same game anymore. To me, anyway. I don't know. I
Huh.
mean,
I mean,
this is
from what I
coming from a
understand, like
Minecraft
I
boomer.
thought Minecraft was just all about, build stuff and defend it. I know there's adventure mode,
yeah,
but I don't know
There is
anything about it.
technically an
that.
end.
It's still that. Like it's still just building stuff and defending it, but like there's like a lot more also. So yeah, like that's pretty much it. Anyway, the movie trailer came out, right?
Yeah.
Yes, it did. So me and Luigi actually talked about it briefly when it first came out because we had seen each other. Red, I want to hear your thoughts.
I didn't actually watch it. I just saw a couple random clips. Yeah, I don't know. I heard like a plot synopsis, and it was like Jason Momoa is like some like gamer or whatever. So here's my theory. It's basically gonna be Pixels mixed with Jumanji, like the
Honestly,
new
yeah,
Jumanji. It's not the
probably.
original
I can kind of
Jumanji.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, everyone's like, man, I thought Jason Momoa was gonna play Steve because he looks like it. And also, wasn't he initially announced as the guy who's playing Steve? So what I think is gonna happen is I think Jack Black is gonna pass the Steve mantle to him.
I thought
The
Jack
next
Black
in
was
line.
always chosen to be cast as Steve.
I briefly remember like when it was first announced, Jason Momoa was supposed to
Was
be
that just
Steve.
a rumor, or was that actually like confirmed until they made the switch?
I just know Jason Momoa was the first person announced in the cast. I don't think it was specified who he was playing though.
Okay.
Yeah, I still think he's gonna become Steve at the end of the movie though.
My question is, who the heck is Jennifer Coolidge playing? Because she's not in the trailer, but she is in the cast list.
Alex? I don't
I don't know.
know.
It'd be really funny if they just pulled like some fucking the Five Nights at Freddy movie shit where they just threw in like random fan service that only the stupid kids will understand.
Ness the waiter, aka Matt Pet.
Like he's like a one guy mentions like I heard of this. Have you heard of the Legend of Hero Brian or some shit like that? Like Markiplier. I don't know. Who's one of the famous like Minecraft YouTubers?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Captain Sparkles. Like I don't know. They ended. You know how like you know how they ended the Five Nights at Freddy movie with playing the Living Tombstone, um,
Mm-hmm.
in the credits. They should end this by playing Usher's DJ Has Us Falling in Love.
But like as for the trailer itself,
It looks kind of
this
ugly. I
yeah,
know.
it's not a hot take to say that this does not look good and the well, there isn't really much of a style to it. It's just we dumped these actors into a CG world. That's it.
You know what it reminds me of? You guys remember the Mario game commercials from like the Wii U 3DS era, where it's like these kids in the Mario world?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that.
But
I
if it
mean,
was just
I
like a
guess makes
feature-length
sense.
film,
This is a game, a movie based on a game, so I guess I don't know.
but I would
And I just
assume
think
like the characters would be like blocky, like all the other Minecraft characters or the
I'm fine
Steves.
with that. Like, I think that's okay. I just think that like it's just shot really poorly. Like the way they lit it, the green screen, it's not very convincing. Like I just
Yeah,
don't think it looks that
it
good.
looks like a commercial, like a Target ad or something.
Yeah, like this looks like one of those like crossover ads that they make sometimes for like different shit like Sonic and Progressive. This is like Minecraft is like, whoa, we're in Minecraft. Oh no, the creeper broke my leg. And he was like, well,
Time
you
to
can
do your
fix
back
your
to school
leg if you
shopping.
buy. Yeah, if you can fix your broken leg if you go purchase Lifeline health insurance or some shit like that. It's like, oh no, a creeper blew up my house. Like a good neighbor, State Farm. And then fucking like a blocky fucking dude just pops up and he was like, I will rebuild your house. I don't know why I did the samurai accent. Okay, anyway. But yeah, it looks like a commercial.
Yeah, sorry to say I don't have plans to see this opening weekend, and I know how excited you guys were, but fortunately you're
Oh
gonna have
no,
to
dude,
find
I am
somebody
so
else.
glad to hear you say that because like man, I have watched so many movies I don't want to see just because you guys wanted to.
You know, whenever I invite you to the movies, you are free to decline.
Why would I? No, I'm not gonna do that. Like, no, it's fine. Like, I have fun. Like, regardless, it's just like I would have never seen the movie if I was not invited. I'm just saying that. Like, I have no issue with the fact that I saw it because I just like watching bad movies is fun too. But like, I would not have like I would have never like when you guys got tickets to like Rise of Skywalker. I would have gone my whole life without watching any Disney Star Wars movies if you had not invited me to see that.
Hey, at the very least, you can form an opinion on them, if that means
Yeah,
anything.
it's really funny all is like I kind of wish I did watch some of those movies when they first came out because my immediate hot takes were all hot takes that I never heard anyone else say. So I feel like I could have gotten like some banger like viral tweets off that. I could have completely shaped discourse if in 2017 I tweeted out, "Yo, The Last Jedi just has the same plot as Kung Fu Panda. What the fuck?" But yeah, Rise of Skywalker. Well, we weren't talking about that. We were talking about what
We're
shitty
talking about
movies.
we're talking about the Minecraft movie. Oh wait, no, my bad. It's called a Minecraft movie, which is weird, but also I guess it's accurate because people have wanted a Minecraft movie. Like, yeah, well, here's a Minecraft movie. It's not the Minecraft movie we deserve, but it's
I don't know.
a
That just
Minecraft
reminds me of
movie.
like
Maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's all a hoax. Maybe this is just a joke. And the real Minecraft movie is somewhere else. I don't know.
it reminds me of one of those like Star Wars spin-offs where like it was like Solo, a Star Wars story or something. It was like that, except that this doesn't have like a main title. It's like a subtitle to but like there's no main title. Like it would make sense if it was like Steve, a Minecraft movie, or like
Or just the
something like that.
Minecraft movie.
No,
Yeah.
no, there's an
A Lego
A in
movie.
place of the.
Also, it being an isekai is like that's kind of interesting because like I know a lot of people thought it was gonna be like actually I don't even know like because there's like a lot of ways you can do this just because like one this has been done a lot because like we got Jumanji so I feel like it's going off Jumanji but it also could
And
have gone
Jack
like the
Black was
Barbie
in
route.
Jumanji, so
Yeah. So it looks like it's going the Jumanji route. It could have gone the Barbie route or the Lego movie route if it wanted to. I guess it decided it didn't want to. Like, I don't know. There's probably
I feel
or it
like
could
the
have just
Lego
been
movie
like
route
a
would have been too
universe
obvious
thing.
since this is also, bricks,
Building,
build
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, and Barbie
I don't
probably
know.
wouldn't work because like you want to be inside the Minecraft world. So yeah, this makes sense actually. This is probably the only route they could have done. Either that or they could have just done like Free Guy or something. I don't know. Make it a survival
But
horror game, like fucking like Alien or something. Oh, go
my
on.
big anticipation for the Minecraft movie now is what is the popcorn bucket going to be? Because you know they're going to do a popcorn bucket in some way.
Probably like a dirt block or just like a
Probably.
cube.
Yes, I'm more excited for the popcorn bucket than the movie.
If they don't do
Uh,
one,
th-
that's a missed opportunity.
Absolutely. But
Anyway, there was another movie
yeah,
trailer that
there
looked
was another movie
significantly better.
trailer. Yes, this was for a spin-off to Captain Underpants called Dogman. Frankly, I would have preferred a Super Diaper Baby movie, but I get it, Dogman is more popular and they're actually making books of it now. So, yeah, sure.
Uh, you guys, have any of you guys read any of the Dogman comics?
No.
Uh, I think I read the first one because wasn't that included in one of the Captain Underpants books?
Well, yeah, but like, I meant like the first like actual like volume of Dogman.
No. No, I after the final Captain Underpants book, I stopped reading them.
Okay. So I read the first volume of Dogman just because I think it came out like very shortly after the last Captain Underpants book. So I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? And like I always thought the comics were pretty funny, the graphic novels they made. Fun fact, Dogman is the only American comic book series to consistently outsell manga.
Really?
Yes,
That's
which is kind of
Huh.
crazy.
funny. Like every year, I look at like the best-selling graphic novels list, and it's like My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, Dogman, and like Chainsaw Man is like a bunch of other things. Yeah. Also,
Finally,
Dogman
a
and
worthy
Chainsaw Man.
opponent.
What's funny is Chainsaw Man. The chainsaw like in Chainsaw Man is actually a dog, which is kind of funny. So Dogman and Chainsaw Man are spiritually very similar, and they're also both peak fiction now. Yeah,
All
but
right. Now, I hope for the sake of everybody, this Dogman movie goes well so we can get Dogman versus Chainsaw Man. Make it
yes.
happen.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I thought the first Captain Underpants movie was pretty good. I heard the TV show is pretty good too. Like not as good as the books. I still think the books are better, but it's like how like the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movies. Like I don't think those are as funny as the books, but like they're still pretty good, and they are able to construct it into like a satisfying 3 hour arc narrative. Which when the books are a bit less like that, I don't know. But yeah, I'm curious about how Dogman is. I remember one bit I really liked about the books. So here, something Dave Pilkey does with his comics is that he writes them from the perspective of his characters, like George Beard and Harold Hutchins. So they're written a little bit differently than the humor in Captain Underpants. And part of the humor is that kids do not realize what they're writing down half the time. So they will often
Yeah, and
write
so
like
a lot of the words are
really
misspelled and stuff.
well, it's not just that. I'm saying like, and I know this because I still have all the comics that we wrote as a kid, so I have flipped through them, and I'm gonna say kids very often will write very dark stuff without realizing how dark it is. Because I flipping through these comics, I'm like, what the fuck did we write? And because I realized that we did not even like think about it. So one thing in the Dogman thing that like I thought was like kind of funny, and to like give sort of real life analog. So in Dogman, his origin is basically the a man gets into a horrible accident and his like canine dog, and they're like your dog your body is gonna die, and they're like man your head is gonna die. So we're like, so we're just gonna sew the dog's head onto yours. Like that is like so kind of like fucked up and kind of dark if you think about it. And it kind of reminds me of how in one of my comics I had a character. He got like horribly mutated, and like the gag was is that his head got turned into a block, and like the joke was is that he's a blockhead. But what's really funny is that I think I was watching like some shit on YouTube, and they had wrote like censored on a block once, and it like I the thing is though is like I didn't know what that meant. So I didn't real so I wrote censored, and then like I showed this shit to my teacher. So my teachers were like, "Does this kid draw a dickhead? Like what is going on?" And like I had no idea. So like I'm thinking like, this is what I mean, where like it's kind of tapping into like they kind of wrote something like kind of dark or like kind of inappropriate, but like no one but an adult would get that it's kind of like dark and inappropriate. Like, I feel like kinda capture that. Also, like, the fact that I kinda wrote a man getting, like, horribly mutated, but, like, I didn't even think about that because I was just like, "Oh, yeah, that's just a trope in comic books." I didn't, like, even think about the body horror. Also, like, I think I made the character a hippie, so I kinda wrote, like, some Reaganite anti-hippie stuff because I didn't actually know anything about hippies. I just, like, saw that movies made fun of them, so I was just like, "Yeah, sure, whatever, I'll make him a hippie." I think I confused hippies with Disco Stew from The Simpsons. It's very weird. So, like, I feel like when reading like these Captain Underpants comics or whatnot, like, there's a lot of jokes in there where it almost feels like a kid picking up something from their parents or like something they saw but not fully understanding it. I feel like Dave Pilkey kind of captures that a lot. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to it. I will
I
probably watch it.
might see it. Again, I have no attachment to Dogman, unlike Captain Underpants, so I guess I'll
The
just
thing
go on
is
word of
like
mouth for this one.
it's the same sense of humor. Like that's the thing.
I know I get that.
Like I would probably like still read some of the Dogman stuff like that came coming out nowadays. I just haven't, I just haven't. Like I'm sure I would still enjoy it, but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I wouldn't see this on my own. Like
which
the reason why I
one
saw
of you guys
Captain
saw the
Underpants
bad guys,
was
right?
because read the books. Sorry, what?
One of you guys saw the bad guys, right?
Yeah, I saw the bad guys.
They got like a similar sense of humor from what I understand.
Ah, okay. All right, I think that about does it for the trailers. Let's move on to the obituaries.
Yes. So probably the most significant death that happened, and also the earliest one, was James Earl Jones passed away. I don't think I need to explain who James Earl Jones is. Everyone knows him. He's like one of those like classic character actors that everyone knows just because his characters are so iconic. But we'll go through him again, and I'm gonna talk about more of his career than just the ones we know. So James Earl Jones is a very Shakespearean actor. He's actually a lot of people don't know it, but he is one of the only actors who has an EGOT. And what's crazy about that is the vast majority of EGOT winners are musicians because they wrote a musical that like got a Broadway show, got a Grammy because it's an album, got an Oscar because they got a movie adaptation, things like that. He is the only one who got it for like separate things. But we can go through his performances. So in terms of plays, he's probably most well known for Fences. Fences is considered like one of the great Black American plays. He basically originated the role of August Wilson, and it is there are still like he's played this role multiple times where you can find like stage recordings online very easily of him, and you'll fully get it. They made a film adaptation of it with Denzel Washington. Everyone's like, man, Denzel was amazing, one of his best roles. James still did better. And he also is like very well known for playing Shakespeare, Othello, Hamlet, King Lear. So yeah, that's all of his like play work, and a lot of that like gravitas is very much translated into his film work. He's probably best known for playing Mufasa in The Lion King. And if you're familiar with The Lion King, it's Hamlet. So, he like literally is kind of translating that Shakespearean gravitas there. He's also his second best role, or maybe his most famous role is Darth Vader in Star Wars. He also played the villain in Conan the Barbarian. One of my favorite movies he was in is Coming to America, where he kind of like flexed his comedic chops. He worked with Stanley Kubrick, Doctor Strangelove, was in The Hunt for Red October, The Sandlot. Probably one of the greatest actors of all time. So rest in peace, James Earl Jones. Have anything else to add?
Probably in
Not
like
really. I mean,
a lot more
you,
stuff that I wouldn't even know about. But yeah, he made a legacy. Like, and it's such a
it's
shame that
James
he
Earl Jones. Like,
Yeah. Have we
like
ever
if you
talked about any of his movies on here?
any of
Nothing
his
about it?
movies, I don't know. He was in Click though.
he
Okay.
was?
Yeah, he was the narrator of Adam Sandler's life in the TV
Right.
removal.
Yeah.
Ah, right, right.
So we haven't talked about any Star Wars movies, right?
No,
I'm amazed
Okay.
we
Well,
haven't actually.
we
because
keep
that would
holding
be
off because
too
we
obvious.
the reason we haven't is just because we know we'd probably talk about like at least like the whole trilogy. Like if we just talk about like we're not just gonna talk about the first Star Wars movie. We're gonna talk about like all three, and we're not just gonna talk about like the Phantom Menace. We're gonna talk about all three because like it's kind of hard not to. But yeah. Next on the list, Maggie Smith, who is also a legendary kind of Shakespearean actress, and she's also probably best known for her some of her franchise work. I think the vast majority of people probably best know Maggie Smith for her role in whatchamacallit, the Harry Potter
Harry
films.
Potter.
Yes, she played McGonagall, who was she was kind of like the main teacher of Gryffindor. She was like Dumbledore's second in command. She's in every movie, so she's a pretty major character. I know her from Gosford Park. That was probably the movie I know her best from. But she's also in, like a bunch of random stuff. She's in Romeo and Juliet. She's in Sister Act. She's in Hook, Murder by Death. She's in like a lot of like kind of Agatha Christie type stuff. She's a very like classic British actor. So if you've just seen any British stuff, you'll see her and everything. She's also received a bunch of awards. She's not an EGOT winner because she never won a Grammy, but she's won like all the other ones. She's won the Oscars, the BAFTA, the Emmys, Golden Globes, Tonys. Yeah, she's considered to have the triple crown of acting. Uh, Chris Christopherson. Chris Christopherson is actually going to be a slightly more interesting case because he is both a well-known actor and a well-known musician. So he's considered kind of a legendary country singer. He's okay. He was a pioneering figure in outlaw country. So he was kind of like it was a movement in the '70s that was like trying to move away from the polished Nashville sound and to something more raw. He's also pretty known for his roles in a lot of films. He was in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, which was kind of interesting. So Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid was a western that starred him, but it also starred Bob Dylan. But he was also in Martin Scorsese's kind of breakthrough film Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. He was in the original A Star Is Born, or at least the '70s one. The '70s A Star Is Born. He was in Heaven's Gate, a bunch of Blade. The Highwaymen was this super group of legendary country singers, featuring Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, and Waylon Jennings. So yeah, rest in peace, Chris Christopherson.
I got one more. So, just a
Well,
few
we got
days
two more.
ago, no, one more.
Jimmy Carter.
He's not dead. Jimmy Carter turned 100.
Oh, thought he
So I
died.
guess no, he turned 100, which is a big deal because
Okay,
he's the only former president to ever live to 100.
that's crazy.
But
That's how you
he's not
age
the only presidential candidate to live to
unprofitably.
100. That distinction first went to Alf Landon, who lived to 100. He ran against FDR in 1936, and he lived until the 80s.
That's crazy.
That is
He
crazy. But
received a Nobel Peace Prize. That's cool.
Jimmy Carter is the only president, the guy who actually won the Electoral College, who reached 100. That is insane. And he's been in hospice for over a year.
I saw a photo of him right now. He kind of looks like I don't know how to phrase that in a nice way, so I'm just gonna not say it.
I have
Okay,
been
go on.
seeing I have been seeing memes online of like people like the caption is like people breaking into Jimmy Carter's house to take away his Legos since he can't play with them anymore. Because Lego is
When I
aged
saw,
from like
Yeah,
age 2 to
yeah,
99.
when I
I don't know.
saw a
It got
photo
a
of Jimmy
chuckle.
Carter, what I thought of was you know the chocolate episode of SpongeBob?
Yeah.
the mom character.
Chocolate. I
Yeah,
remember when they
Yeah.
invented chocolate.
that's what Jimmy Carter looks like to me. He looks like that mixed with like one of those like ghost dudes in like Tales of the Crypt or something. I don't know. No shit.
But
Yeah, go on, go
no,
on.
Jimmy Carter is not the final obituary that we are talking about. That distinction goes to Broadway actor Gavin Creel. And sure, he's not at the same legendary status as James Earl Jones or Maggie Smith, but I feel it's noteworthy to mention him because he was only 48 years old, roughly
Mm.
half the age of both of them. He passed away due to cancer, and many Broadway theaters and West End theaters have dimmed the lights in honor. Some of his credits include he was in the original casts of Thoroughly Modern Millie, the revival of Hello Dolly, which I had the fortune of seeing. I thought he was terrific in it, and I guess relevant to us, he was Claude in the recent Broadway revival of Hair. I guess if you watch a slime tutorial of the 2009 Hair production, then I guess the ending hits different now, knowing what happened to him. So, A Scanner Darkly. Let me spell out my notes. A Scanner Darkly. This is based on the 1977 novel of the same name by Philip K. Dick, author of dozens of short stories. And if you think you don't know his work, you do. Works like Blade Runner, Total Recall, Minority Report, and Man in the High Castle are all based on his works. I'm sure at least two of those should sound familiar. And it was directed by Richard Linklater, director of Dazed and Confused, Waking Life, Boyhood, and Apollo 10 and a Half. Now, in terms of the production history of A Scanner Darkly, a film adaptation of the book was first conceived back in the 90s, with Charlie Kaufman writing the script. But this version never came to be. Don't know why, it just didn't. Uh, it
That makes
eventually
sense.
came to it eventually came to Richard Linklater, though, during production of his animated film Waking Life. What happened was he and the film's producer both found they shared an appreciation for the author, and they decided, hey, let's make a Philip K. Dick novel. Let's make an adaptation of a Philip K. Dick novel at some point. And Linklater originally wanted to adapt his book Ubik, but he was unable to get the rights to it. He was then drawn to A Scanner Darkly. And from the start, Linklater wanted the film to be low budget and animated because he thought that making it a big budget live action film would cause the story to lose its soul and it would just become a generic thriller. So he wanted to keep the budget low to retain creative control. and he wanted it to be animated so that he could implement a unique visual style akin to a lucid dream. The film was shot in 23 and a half days, and it spent 18 months in post-production, with animators tracing over footage frame by frame. The film was released in 2006, where it was well received, but was a box office bomb, only grossing 7.7 million against a budget of 8.7 million. Ouch. So, random question: have you guys ever heard of this film before?
Not until you
Yes.
brought it up.
Yeah, no, I'm very familiar with the Scanner Darkly. I've known about it
Have
for
you read
years.
it?
I've never seen it. No, I'm not. I've never I've just known about it, but I've never actually watched or any of that stuff.
I know you said you've seen Apollo 10 and a half. Have you seen Waking Life?
I've not seen The Waking Life. No.
Doesn't Waking
Okay,
Life follow
so
a similar style?
yeah, all of Richard Linklater's films have a similar visual style with the rotoscoping.
Okay.
But let's get into the real nitty gritty. So, Scanner Darkly is set in the dystopian future of the year 2013, where the United States has lost the war on drugs, with 20% of the country's population addicted to a drug known as Substance D. And the film follows a guy named Bob Arctor, who is a druggie by day and an undercover narcotics officer by night, tasked with investigating the supply chain of Substance D by spying on the household of one of its biggest customers. Simple enough, right? Except the house he's assigned to spy on is his own. Dun dun dun. Where he lives with his roommates named Barris and Luckman and his girlfriend named Donna. So before we actually jump in, I just want to take a minute to discuss the visual style, because I don't believe we've discussed a rotoscope film before.
Not to my knowledge.
What do we think?
I thought the style looked pretty cool, especially with that suit that Keanu's character wore. I thought that was a cool effect.
Part of me thinks the reason why they went with the rotoscoped animation was specifically for the suit. 'Cause,
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks great, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I do like the whole visual style, but it feels like it was made just for that specific part, but it really did a good job, like, conveying how you can't even tell who the person is when they're changing their face all the time. Hell, even parts of their face are, like, completely different in their clothes and their hair. It must have been a fucking
Well,
nightmare to animate.
it did take a little bit for me to get used to like the smooth frame rate and like the textures and the shading, but eventually I warmed up to it, and I do think the style works for this type of film. Again, he wanted to go for like a lucid dream type of look, and I do think it really accomplishes that. Not that I would know firsthand, I've never taken a drug trip, but I do think it works. But visual style aside, what do we think of the film as a whole?
I liked it. It kind of lost me a little bit towards the end, just because the story got a bit confusing.
Yeah,
But
because,
I
like,
don't know. I
characters
thought it
would
was pretty good.
double, like, even
I'd
triple
agree.
cross each other. Like Winona Ryder's
It's like
character.
twist on twist on twist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree
Outside
with
of
you there.
that, it was pretty enjoyable. Again, the visual style alone is like an immediate sell, because you don't really see a whole lot of movies like this, at least to my knowledge. I mean, you said Richard Linklater also did like most of his other films in this style.
No, just two others.
Waking Life and what else?
Apollo 10 and a
Apollo
half.
10.5.
Basically, like I said, all of his animated films use this format.
Okay.
But yeah, I would agree with you in that the ending does get a little bit convoluted. But everything leading up to that, like my favorite scenes are just the scenes where Robert and his roommates are just talking and experiencing the side effects of the drug. Like I think it's interesting how the more drugs they take and the more they like, get involved in it, like the more like their worst attributes come out.
I do
Like I love the scene in the tow truck where Barris is like, "Yeah, I rigged our house before we left so I could catch you spying on us." Why the fuck would you do that? Like that whole conversation was great. Like I left the note on the door. Are you really?
I do like how in the ending, when Bob is sent to the farm under the name Bruce to like investigate the place where they make Substance D, he finds the blue flowers that they use, but he puts it in his boot to take it with him, so it's like the cycle just kind of repeats itself. I thought that was a good touch.
They do keep alluding to the blue flower throughout the film, which I'll be honest, I kind of saw that where Substance D came from. Like I thought that was a pretty obvious twist, but I thought like everything else surrounding it was pretty interesting.
I really like the performances in this movie. Like I liked it more than I thought it would. I like Keanu, but I've never really like considered him a great actor. But I don't know. For some reason in this movie, his performance like really worked for me. And
You're saying he works better as a drug addict?
yeah, I mean Bill and Ted too. So he works as kind of like a hard boiled kind of drug addict character because I liked him in Constantine too. So
I think Robert
yeah,
Downey Jr. like stole the show. He was so
yeah,
expressive
obviously,
in
yeah,
this one.
he was
Helped
Mm-hmm.
by the
he was the
animation
obvious choice.
style. Like it was just a joy watching him like move around in
Yeah.
this.
I forgot what his name was, but the dude that like was tweaking the whole time, like the one who was doing drugs and stuff.
Charlie Freck?
Freck. Yeah, Freck.
Yeah, I liked him. Like I like how twitchy they made him, and like I
I
don't know
almost
something
I
thought
about like
thought
he
the
his
was
way he
facial
Tommy
was animated.
Wiseau.
I thought his
Way he
facial
was animated,
expressions
I feel
really
like
shine
added a
through in
lot.
the visuals.
Yeah, I feel like the way he was animated, like it kind of added a lot. No, no, I thought it was an interesting movie. Very much a product of the Bush years. Like I feel like it very much was kind of commenting
Yeah,
on a lot of
you can definitely see parallels with like terrorism
thanks for that.
paranoia and yeah,
Yeah,
and
thanks for that.
increased surveillance and
There's an
security.
Alex Jones cameo.
There
Yes,
is, as a guy spouting in the street. What's crazy, you
I
say it's a
wonder.
product of its time, yet the book was written like 4 decades prior.
Yeah,
I guess
yeah,
Philip K. Dick was like ahead of the curve.
yeah.
I
Well, I
mean,
mean,
drug abuse is still relevant even today. It's not like that's ever gone away.
I know, but
actually,
like it got more
drugs was
relevant
worse. Drugs was actually worse in the late 70s, early 80s. Like
Nixon.
the 80s was probably the worst decade for drugs, and the 70s was like 60s through 70s. Like drug usage like ramped up a lot, so it would make sense why I talk about that. And during the 70s, a lot of people were kind of paranoid because of whatchamacallit, Richard Nixon and all that stuff, and there was a lot of Cold War paranoia and like spying, espionage stuff. So it kind of makes sense why, like, even looking at Philip K. Dick's other stuff, like, actually, no, he did not write RoboCop, but like RoboCop is kind of like I kind of think of a similar kind of analogous or like Judge Dredd, like police states in like sci-fi dystopians have always kind of been like a fascination. It just feels like I imagine the book was very much pointed towards the 70s, and I feel like Richard Linklater very smartly knew how to make this one feel very pointed towards the 2000s. Because most issues of humanity since the 20th century have just been kind of the same. It's just been kind of repeating, just to different extremities. Seeing how a lot of these stars actors are kind of a low point in the career. Because Keanu Reeves was he was getting a lot of hate in the 2000s. Like a lot of people have no idea about this because he's like beloved now and he was beloved in the 90s. But before John Wick and after the Matrix movies, there was like a good period of time where everyone was kind of shitting on him for no reason. Robert Downey Jr., this was before Iron Man. This was like right when he was like kind of this is like when he got sober and was kind of building up goodwill again. I think Woody Harrelson was like the only dude that was like fine. Because like even Winona Ryder was kind of like in a career slump. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how it's a bunch of like great actors that everyone all loves and respects now, but like this was all filmed during a time where they things were not very great for them. Or like it wasn't bad, but they were all like trying to like regain goodwill after career setbacks. Let's see, Scanner Darkly. And, next year he did Zodiac and then Iron Man. Yeah, basically, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang was like what kind of started Robert Downey Jr.'s like career revival. So there was like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Then the same year he did Good Night and Good Luck. Then he did A Scanner Darkly. Then he did Zodiac, and then he got Iron Man and kind of like regained his swagger. I actually just looked up the week that this movie released, and it actually makes sense why this movie bombed. Do you know what movies it opened up against?
I'm gonna guess Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
Not only that, but also Cars. So the animation people
Really?
were just gonna check out the new Pixar movie. Everyone else was just checking out Dead Man's Chest.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, I saw both of those movies. Like, I'm part of the problem. I mean, granted, I don't think my parents would have taken me to like this type of film, but so you can't blame me. But yeah, makes sense. This didn't make much money. But I don't know. I'd still say it's like pretty well known among people in the know. I would recommend people who like this movie check out the movie Southland Tales. So Southland Tales is a complete mess, but it's got like a kind of similar vibe. A lot of people always said it's a Philip K. It's like an adaptation of a Philip K. Dick novel that doesn't exist. So I'd recommend if you like this movie, check out Southland Tales. It's kind of a mess, the theatrical cut is not the best cut of the film, and there's a it's a very odd film, but it's definitely got this like Philip K. Dick, but talking about the Bush era vibe to it. So I would
Hmm.
recommend you check out Southland Tales if you like this movie. It's from the guy who made Donnie Darko. But yeah. Anyway, I would recommend this film.
I would too.
I enjoyed it enough to get the DVD for it. I mean, I definitely see it again. I would want to show people this film because like there's not really anything else out there like it outside of Richard Linklater's filmography.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say this is his best film, but it is like one of his more underrated, I'd say.
It's charming.
Okay, I like this movie. I do think of his animated stuff. Like I like Apollo 10 and a half a little bit more, just because that movie is like I don't know. That movie just kind of like taps into like a type of film I really like. Uh, but I do like this. I feel like of the, it's not like my favorite Philip K. Dick, but it's definitely a worthy Philip K. Dick adaptation. It reminds me of like a lot of
I've never read the book, but I do hear it's very faithful to it.
Aren't
yeah.
there
I don't know. If
like
you're a Philip K. Dick
characters?
fan, definitely check
Aren't
it
there like
out.
three
Like
characters that are just combined into one?
Yeah, Freck. Freck is a combination of three characters from the book.
Okay.
that's called being economical.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd definitely recommend it. Not my favorite Linklater, not my favorite animated film, not my favorite Philip K. Dick, but it is pretty good in all of it. You know, sometimes you don't need to be the best to be worthwhile. Very unique. Even among the Philip K. Dick movies, I feel like it doesn't really have like that similar of a vibe to them. I feel like the movie this reminds me the most of is again Southland Tales, Strange Days, and maybe I haven't seen the movie, but I read half the book.
Does this movie remind you of anything specific, Lukia? If we're just going over.
At least in terms of like an absolute drug trip, it kind of reminded me of Nowhere because it had a giant bug somewhere.
This is far more
It's
structured than Nowhere.
you can at least like understand what's going on in this one. But I think overall I'd give this like a 7.5 out of 10. I definitely enjoyed it. I like how the moral of the story is you better check yourself before you freck yourself.
Yeah, I would also give it like a 7.5. Like that's the exact because I was like trying to say I was like it's either a 7 or 8. So yeah, I guess 7.5. That is a fair rating. I know I don't do number ratings anymore, but whatever.
And I've never done number ratings, but yeah, that seems about right. Solid, good film, even if again around the end it does get a bit convoluted, but everything around it is definitely unique. I'd say in terms of movies, this reminded me of, I guess to wrap around somehow to Charlie Kaufman, I was kind of reminded of Anomalisa, in that it's a movie that you technically could do in live action, but considering the amount of post production stuff, it just makes complete sense to do it animated. Have you seen Anomalisa, guys?
No.
I have not. Which is weird because I've seen most of Charlie Kaufman's other movies, but for some reason I
I
have
did
not
see
seen
that
that
movie.
one.
It was interesting. Granted, I don't really know Charlie Kaufman's work, so I don't know if that was the best one to start with.
Here's the thing. My favorite Charlie Kaufman movies were his like comedic ones, and from what I understand, Anomalisa goes into more of his dour side. Cause you have seen Charlie Kaufman's other movies, because I've made you guys watch some of his other movies. But
Granted,
he's
I
definitely
saw Anomalisa like 8 years ago.
okay. He did
Oh,
adaptation.
yeah, I saw Anomalisa first.
Are they a similar vibe? I don't know.
As
Adaptation Anomalisa.
I'd have to rewatch Anomalisa again. My biggest takeaway from that movie this is gonna sound weird. My biggest takeaway was that movie had a more awkward puppet sex scene than Team America.
Anyway, it is my
Maybe we'll
turn.
talk about it one day. I don't know. I'm intrigued actually to revisit it because I was like, what the fuck?
Anyway, I believe it is my turn.
That it is.
All
Alright,
right.
what is?
Um, as you guys know, I like to recommend a lot of movies from New Hollywood. And there's this one film from New Hollywood that is thought to have started New Hollywood. It's from director Arthur Penn. We're not going to be talking about that movie. We're going to talk about a different movie he did called Night Moves. Yeah.
Night movies.
So
Okay.
Arthur Penn is known as the guy who created New Hollywood with Bonnie and Clyde. He kind of started the movement. And anyway, like a bunch of years later in 1975, he made this movie called Night Moves that no one watched, but I think it's fantastic. It's very similar to The Long Goodbye and Chinatown. So prepare yourself. You guys remember how Chinatown ended?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So
I'll brace myself then.
and also did we talk about The Long Goodbye? No, I don't think
No.
so. What about Under the Silver Lake?
Also
If you
no.
have to ask, probably no.
Well, actually, you know what? It's got a little bit of a similar vibe to A Scanner Darkly. So again, it's a hard-boiled detective story. So similar to this, just not psychedelic. It's very 70s grounded. I guess I would recommend watching Under the Silver Lake if you like A Scanner Darkly too. So yeah, Night Moves. I saw this movie like a few months ago, and I have thought about it frequently since. So I figured that's probably a good sign of a movie we should talk about, right? So yeah, I think this will give you street cred because this is a movie that nobody seems to know. Like, let me give you an example. On Letterboxd, 178,000 people have watched Bonnie and Clyde. 41,000 people have seen Night Moves, which is like a third.
You really like hour-ending movies, don't you?
Kinda, yeah. They give you a lot to chew on. Anyway, you got a closer for today?
Stop it. Get some help.